right, breaking news regarding the breach at the Office of Personnel Management. We do want to go to Theresa Payton now. She is a former White House Chief Information Officer. Theresa, thanks so much for joining us on short notice. So give us a little bit of context here. So the headline is that the security clearance, the Office of Personnel Management, was breached. And we've been following the OPM really for the last couple of days. So how does this make the situation even more concerning?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, obviously the investigation's ongoing, and the news is not getting better as the investigation unfolds. If this is true, this is not recoverable because your security clearance isn't just about you. It's everywhere you went to school. It's your neighbors. It's your family, their information, all the people they talk to, jobs you've had, everywhere you lived. This is not recoverable, and this is personal for me. My data's in there. And so I think this is one of those things, whether you work for the government 1 month as an intern or your whole career, this impacts everybody in your life that has been on your personnel investigation
And you
record. Said
this affects you. Your information is in there.
Yeah, I was a political appointee under the Bush administration. I did an internship for the government while I was in graduate school, and so my information is most likely impacted. Until I hear otherwise, I'm going to assume I'm one of the impacted people.
And since this is your wheelhouse, this is so upsetting, you're telling us it's non-recoverable information. What do you think, what is the worst case scenario of what these hackers will do with the information?
Well, there's several things. We have to understand who really did this and what's their motive. There's a couple of things they could do with this type of data. And this is not about smash and grab for credit card and identity theft. This is about either masquerading as employees or tricking employees to giving up information because they think they're talking to a fellow government worker. This could also be used potentially to blackmail people. They've got enough information. They know enough about you. They could be targeting you, recruiting you, potentially blackmailing you. I mean, they have everything they need to do a variety of different things. So it's really critical at some point.
Can you give me a sense, Theresa, sorry to interrupt you, as to who they may be? I mean, could this be, not to be an alarmist, some sort of terrorist attack?
Well, and again, it could be something along those lines, that motive could be there. It's really hard to say. I know right now some groups have said it could be the Chinese. Again, investigations, there's so many pieces of data that have to come together before you can definitively attribute and point the finger at a particular cybercriminal group or a particular country where a cyber criminal group may be, but it could potentially be linked to terrorism. This is a deep and concerted and orchestrated effort to collect this type of information.
So is our national security, again, more vulnerable today than it was last week or before this hack?
Well, sure, because there are people that are doing their everyday job trying to serve the U.S. government who don't want to be in the public eye so that they can do their job to the best of their ability. And now they are in the eye of the criminals who stole this data. And so you have people who stay in sort of behind the scenes doing great work for our country, and now they're known.
So we understand that many of the information held within this data, the information was not encrypted. Should it have been? Why was it not?
Well, encryption's an interesting thing, and sometimes people jump to conclusions and say, well, if it wasn't encrypted, that's a dereliction of duty. Encryption can be very helpful, but hackers oftentimes have the encryption keys, the de-encryption keys that they need to de-encrypt the data. I think there's a bigger issue and problem here, which is don't aggregate all this data, store it all the way back to 1985. If you want to save it, if you want to protect it, you need to segment it, and you need to have multi-layers of authentication so that you get to one piece of data if you're a hacker that you can't get to another piece of data because it's a different key that you need. Encryption would definitely help, but encryption is never going to stop a data breach from happening.
So, Theresa, in your view, how weak was the government's cyber prevention plan leading into this? Obviously, there were, we had the Sony hack, we had the Target breach. I mean, day after day, there's always, whether it's corporations or the federal government, we're hearing more and more about this. It's becoming a regular occurrence. But specifically for the government, how strong or weak do you think the cybersecurity was or is?
Here's the thing. You have really smart, dedicated people working in the government trying to protect our country from cyber criminals and cyber terrorists. And we do have really good talent working on these tough issues. Most of the time and attention is spent on defensive strategies, things like talking about encryption and sensors. We need to change our tactics because cyber criminals and cyber terrorists have changed. We have to go on offense. We need to stop thinking that we can prevent a breach. We need to say every time a breach happens, What are we going to do to stop them from getting away with the maximum damage and the maximum collateral being taken out of this organization? And so if we think differently about the data, don't store it to begin with, don't keep it online, put it in different places, put segmentation, put different walls up, then we're going to have a better answer when that breach does happen. All technology is hackable. If I can update it, it can be hacked.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Theresa, Payton, thank you so much for joining us.